We are that Democratic Secretary of State Katie Hobbs is, in fact, the winner in the Arizona gubernatorial race.
Secretary of State of Arizona. NBC is projecting Adrian Fontes as the winner.
Mays beating Hamadeh for Arizona Attorney General by only 280 votes.
Former Republican candidate for Arizona Governor Kari Lake is vowing to take her election fight to the state Supreme Court.
Abe Hamadeh is filing a new lawsuit in Mojave County over the November election results.
Today, a Maricopa County Superior Court judge heard oral arguments in the Mark Finchem election contest lawsuit.
Just into the newsroom, a judge has ruled against Kari Lake's 2022 election lawsuit.
A Mojave County judge denying Republican Attorney General candidate Abe Hamadeh's election challenge.
A Maricopa County judge has tossed an election lawsuit brought on by Republican Secretary of State candidate Mark Finchem.
Kari Lake's lawyers have been punished by the Arizona Supreme Court for repeated false statements in her challenge in last year's election defeat.
Former Secretary of State candidate Mark Finchem has been sanctioned by a judge relating to his lawsuit challenging the 2022 election.
Republican candidates for 4 top offices in Arizona's 2022 elections fought and lost their election challenges for months after the midterms. Joining us now, Arizona Secretary of State Adrian Fontes. His 2022 election opponent just dropped his challenge to his election loss on Tuesday. My goodness.
It's something. Thanks so much for being with us. We're looking at election deniers, obviously on the national stage. You're still dealing with it there. I think one of the really pleasant surprises, I think that's actually an understatement, in the 2022 election was to see how election deniers were roundly defeated in office after office, especially in Arizona, Nevada, and other states where they seem so prevalent. What was your takeaway from 22 and your takeaway from where we are going into 24?
Well, first, thank you for having me. Second, look, people understand the business of America is business, and business and government work hand in hand. When you have unpredictable, chaotic folks running government, that's really just bad for business. And that means families will ultimately suffer. So what we ran on in Arizona wasn't necessarily pro-business. It was just pro-sanity, pro-rational thinking. It was pro sort of just kind of getting the job done instead of all these radical conspiracy theories that our opponents were running on. And some of us won by very wide margins, some by narrower margins. But the bottom line is we made absolutely certain to talk to the entirety of Arizona's population, not just the left or the middle. We talked to folks on the political right to let them know that they were going to be in good hands. We're going to have rational, reasonable thinking people in office. And I think that ended up helping carry the day.
Peter Baker has the next question for you, sir. Peter?
Yeah, sir, you know, after 2020 and 2022, of course, there's been so much, you know, questioning of the veracity of our system. What is it that you and other, you know, people who run our elections can do to convince Americans that they should have faith in the system again? Because obviously at the heart of a democracy is the faith that voters will be respected. A lot of Americans right now questioning that, thanks in part, of course, to Donald Trump telling them that they should.
Strong and steady. I think that's the thing we got to do. We will stay on message. We will make sure that the story of the people who actually run our elections gets told. These are folks who are just good citizens. They are our neighbors. They're retirees. They're people who've been in our communities for a long time. They're the ones working the polling places. They're the ones in the warehouses. They're the ones who are helping in these bureaucratic offices that nobody ever used to talk about. And slowly but surely, we are going to defeat the big lie by slow, steady, constant work. That's the way you get the job done. That's the way we're doing it here at the Arizona Secretary of State's office. And we're going to keep doing it with strength. We're not going to pull punches when it comes to truth telling. We are not going to be nice to the folks who want to overthrow our democracy. So the combination of strong and steady is what Arizonans wanted. That's what they got, and that's what they're going to continue to get.
And you did, Mr. Secretary, in fact, defeat the big lie yourself, as does Katie Hobbs. That was a centerpiece of your opponent's argument in those races, and you won, as did Governor Hobbs. So your state, Arizona, and it's underlined again in this 45-page indictment that we received of the former president of the United States of Arizona, is really at the center of a lot of the conspiracy theories around the 2020 election and beyond. It's the state where those cyber ninjas, I think they called themselves, came in and were searching for bamboo in the ballots on the conspiracy theory that the ballots had been shipped in from Asia. I know it's hard to follow. It sounds like I'm making it up, but I'm not. So my question to you is, how do you convince a rather large segment of our population that has fallen under the spell of all these conspiracy theories to sort of step away from it? How do we return rational thinking to our politics?
Well, look, the beauty of American democracy is that we get our strength in our diversity. And that can not just be diversity of, ethnicity or religion or all that, but diversity of thought. There's always been folks in this country who have thought things that nobody else really can really understand or agree with. The bottom line is, we need a lot of different perspectives, even if they're not based in reality, so that we can know what is reality and who is actually telling the truth at the end of the day based on truth. So we just continued down that same road with strength and with stability, and we just keep telling the truth over and over and over again, because at the end of the day, that's what bears out. We've seen case after case, not just here in Arizona, but across the United States of America, showing that when evidence is called for, when a court of competent jurisdiction comes and says, like they did in the old Wendy's commercial, where's the beef? And the beef doesn't show up, we know what the truth is. And slowly but surely, I think we're going to be in good shape, but it's going to take a little time and it's going to take patience. That's okay. This is a society of instant gratification, but a lot of us know that when it comes to the big picture and American governance, the slow and steady hand will ultimately win out.
So, Ms. Secretary of State, just on that idea, what is the plan here for an outreach to sort of reassure the public, to install a sense of confidence in people, to say to people who maybe are skeptical of the veracity of the ballot, who are believing the big lie? Certainly Arizona is ground zero to a lot of politicians who have really made their name on that. So talk to us about those efforts, both voting law changes, but also just simply public awareness campaigns.
Well, it's those things and talking to the folks who are directly involved in these things. Look, I've had some of those election deniers in my own office having those conversations about how we're going to improve election systems. And we put our disagreements aside and we come to agreement on the things that we can come to agreement on. Some of them, the Kraken lawyer squad themselves, some of them are folks who've been calling for hand counts of every single ballot across the state. But you take the time and the patience, you show a little bit of grace, you sit down with these folks, even if you fiercely disagree with them, and you talk about things. And eventually coming to agreement on those things where you can find agreement will get you to the place where you can have those other conversations. That's just with some of our lawmakers. But of course, the public outreach, going through the political channels, using the media, going out and dealing on social media as well. All of these efforts are necessary. Every turn, at every turn, with every channel that we can approach is where this fight is going to be fought. And sometimes it's going to be with a gentle hand. Sometimes it's going to be a little stronger. But at the end of the day, you just keep on pushing and you keep on pushing. And that's what's going to get us back to reasonable, rational thought when it comes to these sorts of things. It'll take time, but we will get there. I'm confident.
Arizona Secretary of State Adrian Fontes, thank you very much for being on the show this morning. Chief White House correspondent for the New York Times, Peter Baker, thank you as well.